Luke.
Luke.
Luke from Florida.
Luke from Florida. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing really good. I wanted to talk to you guys about guns today because I think that's probably the only thing that we really disagree on. I've been listening to the show for a really long time, and you guys really got me out of like a pretty bleak political spiral. So I want to thank you for that before we get to do the disagreeing.
No problem. Go on.
All right. So before we get going, can you tell me, like, what actually is your position on guns in the country? Because I've heard you kind of gesture towards it, but I don't know, like, specifically what you would do.
So, I mean, my general position is that I believe that you should have to go through a fairly elongated licensing practice, step-by-step basis to ensure that you have proper training, and that can go through a variety of different agencies, likening it to the DMV. It can go through the Fish and Wildlife Gaming Agency, and that should be the process for obtaining a weapon. I also believe that weapons of war, such as AK-47s or semi-automatic rifles, should be outright banned, and for commercial sale. And I'm also fairly skeptical of tweaks and reforms like red flag laws, because they really just empower police more. I think only the answer is targeting the sale and manufacturing of weaponry before they get into people's hands. That's my position.
What would you do about assault rifles and military-style weapons that are already, like, owned by people in the country?
It's a good question. I think that you would, in my ideal world, implement a buyback program that is not mandatory, but one that is incredibly lucrative for people, and making it, whatever, 5 times the government can afford it, 5 times the purchase price of the weapon is, and try to do a clawback in that way. But I just don't think right now in this country it would be realistic to do mandatory
I think
clawbacks.
Typically we say, like, you start with the manufacturing and purchasing of new firearms, and also make those things not an investment that people can sell. It shouldn't be illegal to, if we're going to make it illegal to purchase them from a manufacturer or store, it shouldn't be illegal to resell them. And so I think there should be intense scrutiny on that. As to clawing them back from people who bought them, I just think that is, not feasible. And I don't know that it's necessarily desirable.
Well, man, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm super disappointed. I thought you guys were going to come out with some, plan to take all of our guns away. So I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bummed. I'm not gonna get
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all
My principal position is that I think people, like, I genuinely actually do buy a general community defense argument for the Second Amendment, but I don't extend that to, obviously, like, RPGs. Or even, like, I think anything with, like, a bump stock or anything that, like, those modifications. First of all, we already do ban those modifications when it's a switch and, like, black people have it in a community. It puts them away for like 70 years. But we just don't do anything for, like, bump stocks. That's mainly a white thing. Is my impression. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but, like, I think those sorts of things are, like, actually justifiable. But
yeah, I mean, to your point, I think, like, this also is maybe a part of my political evolution. I find the very, like, moneyed and somewhat paternalistic thrust behind some of the anti-gun. What'd you say?
Michael Bloombergism.
Exactly. Putting it more succinctly than I can. I find that to be, like, a problematic element in the, like, actual attempt to limit gun violence.
Technocratic project, really, is what it is.
And honestly, the Michael Bloomberg element of just, like, I want to manage your life. And it's like, in terms of what I like, reducing violence, I want that too. But I actually think that in terms of the political will to actually get something done, that managerial element is hurting the movement to curb gun violence.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I also think that there's, like, a not insignificant portion of the population who's been primed to believe that, like, any move towards restriction of gun ownership is, like, it's the Democrats getting ready to do like Soviet-style communism in the United States. And I think that if you were going to pursue a path of like a broader ban or like a mandatory buyback program in the United States, that there would be people who would literally go to war with their local PD. Like there would be violence in the street.
Yeah,
I agree. And we're so far away from gun buyback program in this country that, you know, I think you can't make it mandatory in this country right now. It's just not going to work.
No.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, even if you passed something, it would fail in the Supreme Court. I mean, Second Amendment is...
I mean, even the smaller reforms I'm talking about would likely fail in the Supreme Court.
Even if you could get like the entire U.S. government on board with that, actually confiscating guns, even if you're giving people money for them in this country, like you're gonna have, it's going to lead to confrontations with people the government doesn't really want to have armed confrontations with.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Well, appreciate the call.
Hey, I appreciate you taking it. And if you guys ever find yourself in Jacksonville and you want to go shoot my AK, just give me a call, okay?
All right. What is it? Duval?
Bradley, take this number down, please.
Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Duval!
All right. See you later.
I love you guys.
Bye.
I'm gonna come over under the guise of wanting to shoot your AK, and then the second you hand it to me, I'm gonna run away with it.
I'm gonna melt it in a foundry.
Left is Def writes in, honestly, a lucrative buyback program would make me want to buy a gun just so I could have the investment on the back end. But now I'm acting like the anti-student loan forgiveness people who are mad because they paid their student loans off without government intervention. Not quite, Left is Def, because we would prevent you from making that investment by banning the sale and manufacturing, then doing the gun buyback program. How does that sound? But that was pretty funny. Al Dente says, now you make me want pasta, but anyway, all firearms owners should be required to have an umbrella insurance coverage commensurate with the destructive capabilities of each particular weapon. That's not a bad idea.